There's a kind of strength that doesn't shout. It doesn't lift weights, wear medals, or post victories online. It's quiet, invisible, and yet it moves mountains within the human heart. That strength is the power of praise, a power most people overlook because they're too busy fighting battles on the outside to notice the healing waiting within. Praise isn't about pretending everything's fine. It's not about smiling through the storm or ignoring your pain. Praise is about shifting your focus, moving your eyes away from what's missing and turning them toward what's still present. It's the language of hope, spoken softly in the middle of chaos. And yet, it's the one language so many people have forgotten to speak. We live in a world that teaches us how to chase, but not how to cherish. We're told to achieve more, earn more, own more, but not to pause and appreciate what's already here. The result? Even when life gives us blessings, we don't see them. We scroll past miracles every single day, blinded by comparison, drowned by noise. And when the storm hits, we forget the power that gratitude holds, the power that's been waiting quietly inside us, ready to turn darkness into direction. When you praise, you don't deny the struggle. You simply choose not to be defined by it. You decide that your story isn't just about what happened to you, it's about what's happening through you. You begin to see your pain not as punishment, but as preparation. You start to understand that every challenge, no matter how heavy, is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more resilient. But that realization doesn't come through worry. It doesn't come through panic, fear, or self-pity. It comes through praise, the simple act of saying thank you when your heart feels empty. And I believe something good is still possible when your mind is filled with doubt. The truth is, life will never stop testing you. It will never stop surprising you, stretching you, or at times, breaking you open. But that's where praise becomes powerful, because praise isn't just a reaction, it's resistance. It's your soul's way of saying, I refuse to let darkness steal my light. It's how you rise when your strength is gone. There's a reason people who live in gratitude seem lighter. They're not lucky, they're intentional. They don't wait for everything to go right before they give thanks. They understand that gratitude makes things go right, not by changing the situation, but by changing the heart that faces it. When you live with praise in your heart, peace becomes your default setting. You stop being tossed around by the waves of emotion because your anchor is within. But let's be honest, it's not easy. Praising when life hurts feels unnatural. When you lose someone, when your plans fall apart, when you've tried everything and still can't see the results you hoped for, it's hard to find words of gratitude. Yet that's exactly where the secret lies. Because praise in comfort is appreciation, but praise in pain is transformation. It's when your spirit chooses to rise above your situation. It's when your heart whispers hope even when your voice trembles. Think of it this way. The sun doesn't stop shining because clouds appear. It's still there, behind the storm, waiting to break through. In the same way, joy doesn't vanish when life gets hard. It simply hides behind the noise, waiting for you to remember how to reach it. And the key that unlocks it is praise. When you start your day with gratitude, even for the smallest things, the air you breathe, the food you eat, the people who care for you, you create a vibration that attracts peace. Your heart becomes lighter, your mind clearer. You begin to handle challenges with more patience, speak with more kindness, and walk with more confidence. Because praise aligns you with the rhythm of grace. It puts you in tune with something greater than your problems. You might not be able to control what life gives you, but you can always control what you give back to life. And praise is the highest gift you can offer. It's your way of saying, I choose trust over fear. It's how you say, even if I don't understand everything right now, I know there's purpose in this. When you praise, you shift the energy around you. You stop feeding the pain and start feeding your peace. You stop magnifying what's wrong and start celebrating what's right. And somehow, in ways you can't explain, things begin to align. Opportunities open up, relationships heal, solutions appear. Not because the world suddenly changed, but because you did. That's the power in praise you've been missing. It's not magic, it's mindset. It's not about ignoring your problems. It's about giving them less power. It's about deciding that even in the middle of your hardest season, there's still something beautiful worth noticing. And when you make praise a habit, not just a reaction, but a rhythm, it rewires you from the inside out. You start expecting good instead of fearing bad. You start seeing lessons instead of losses. You begin to live from a place of peace, not pressure. That's when real freedom begins. So take a moment right now, breathe, look around you, find one thing, just one, to be grateful for. It could be your breath, your heartbeat, your ability to read these words, because every small piece of gratitude adds up to a life of grace. The power of praise isn't found in big moments. It's found in the quiet choices you make every day. It's in how you speak to yourself when no one is listening. It's in how you keep going when no one is cheering. It's in the way you whisper thank you when life gives you one more chance to try again. Don't miss that power. Don't overlook the miracle in the mundane, because the moment you begin to live in praise, you realize that life was never against you. It was always trying to awaken you, to teach you patience, strength, faith, and gratitude. There's a light waiting in every dark season, but you can only see it when you lift your eyes. Not in complaint, but in praise. So start now. Start small. Start where you are. Because there's power in praise you've been missing. And once you find it, your life will never feel the same again. When you begin to live a life of praise, something extraordinary starts to happen. Not outside of you at first, but deep within. The noise that used to dominate your mind slowly begins to quiet. The thoughts that used to race in every direction start to soften. It's as if your spirit exhales for the first time in a long while. Praise transforms the mind because it changes what you choose to magnify. Most of the stress, anxiety, and fear that people carry comes from focusing too much on what they can't control. The mind becomes a battlefield of what-ifs. But praise, pure, intentional praise, pulls your attention back to the present moment. It's an anchor that says, I'm safe here, I'm grateful here, I'm alive here. This is the first miracle of praise, clarity. When you practice gratitude in the middle of pressure, your thoughts start to reorganize themselves. The fog lifts. You begin to see possibilities where you once saw only problems. That's because your brain can't hold fear and gratitude at the same time. The moment you choose to praise, you interrupt the cycle of worry. You give your mind a different story to tell. Instead of repeating, I'm not enough, you begin to hear, I still have something to give. Instead of, everything's falling apart, you whisper, maybe this is falling into place. That shift may seem small, but it's everything, because the mind follows the direction of your focus, and praise sets that focus on peace. Praise also re-educates your emotions. Many people believe feelings control them, but feelings are simply responses to focus. When you praise, you teach your emotions to look for light instead of darkness. You start noticing small joys, the laughter of someone you love, the warmth of sunlight through a window, the kindness of a stranger. These moments were always there, but worry blinded you to them. Praise opens your emotional eyesight. It trains your heart to expect goodness again. Slowly, fear loses its grip and hope takes its place. That's not positive thinking. It's spiritual alignment. It's you learning how to tune the frequency of your life toward peace. As praise becomes a habit, it starts to build a quiet confidence inside you. You begin to realize that peace isn't something the world gives, it's something you cultivate. Every time you choose gratitude over complaint, you strengthen that inner foundation. And soon, even when chaos swirls around you, you stand a little taller. You stop being reactive and start being reflective. You stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, what can this teach me? That's how praise transforms your mind. It doesn't just change your thoughts, it changes the thinker. When life becomes heavy, the natural instinct is to fight against it. We tighten up, resist, push, and try to control every detail. But praise teaches the opposite. It invites you to release, to breathe, and to trust that there's a rhythm to life that doesn't depend on your control. When you choose to praise in the middle of pressure, you're telling your mind, I'm not in danger, I'm just growing. That single shift begins to dissolve anxiety. You move from a survival mindset to a spiritual one. You stop asking how to escape the storm and start learning how to stand within it without losing your peace. There's something remarkable that happens in the brain when you practice gratitude consistently. Science now shows what ancient wisdom has always known, that gratitude and praise physically rewire your brain. They strengthen neural pathways associated with calm, clarity, and joy. When you choose to focus on what's good, your brain releases serotonin and dopamine, the very chemicals that make you feel content, hopeful, and safe. It's as if your mind says, thank you for noticing the light, here's more of it. And over time, that light grows brighter until even the darkest seasons seem less intimidating. But beyond biology, praise shifts energy on a spiritual level. Every word of gratitude carries a vibration, a resonance that echoes through your heart and out into the world. Have you ever noticed how a person who praises often seems to glow differently? It's not about perfection or pretending. It's about peace. Their energy is lighter because their heart is open. They attract goodness because they're already tuned to it. You can feel it when you're around them, that sense of calm that says, it's going to be okay. That's not luck, that's alignment. Praise aligns you with peace, and peace attracts purpose. The more you praise, the more you heal emotionally. You stop needing everything to make sense before you allow yourself to be happy. You realize that peace isn't found in answers, it's found in acceptance. You stop carrying the weight of why and start walking in the wisdom of what now. Praise frees you from the prison of perfection. You begin to understand that life isn't about getting everything right. It's about being right within yourself. Gratitude becomes your compass, guiding you back to balance every time chaos tries to take over. And here's the truth. Peace doesn't mean the absence of storms. It means the presence of stillness within them. It's when you can sit in the middle of uncertainty and still say, I have faith in this process. That's the power praise gives you. It builds an unshakable core, a strength that doesn't depend on circumstance. You stop looking for peace outside because you found it inside. You realize that no matter what life takes away, away, it can't take away your ability to be thankful. And that realization is freedom. Every season of struggle asks you one quiet question. Will you trust or will you tremble? Praise is how you answer with trust. When you praise, you teach your heart that hope is not a feeling. It's a discipline. It's something you practice when the world goes silent, when your plans collapse, when tomorrow looks uncertain. Hope born from praise is stronger than ordinary optimism because it doesn't depend on proof. It lives on perspective. It says, I may not see the way yet, but I believe there is one. Over time, praise becomes the habit that keeps you steady when everything else shakes. It reshapes the very meaning of resilience. Most people think resilience means bouncing back. Praise teaches you that it means bouncing forward. You don't return to who you were before the hardship. You evolve into someone deeper, calmer, wiser. When you meet challenges with gratitude instead of resentment, you collect lessons instead of scars. You discover that adversity is not a wall, it's a doorway. Every no becomes redirection. Every delay becomes preparation. Praise keeps you open to that truth. One of the greatest gifts of praise is that it keeps your heart soft in a hard world. Pain can make people bitter. Praise keeps them better. It prevents cynicism from taking root. You start to see others through eyes of compassion instead of comparison. You begin to forgive faster, to let go easier, to smile sooner. The walls you built to protect yourself start turning into windows that let light in. That's not weakness. That's growth. Praise gives you the courage to stay kind in a world that often forgets kindness. And that courage is what real strength looks like. When you live in praise, setbacks stop feeling like punishment. They start feeling like the pause before a new beginning. You stop rushing outcomes and start respecting timing. You learn that peace doesn't come from forcing the next chapter. It comes from trusting that it's being written perfectly, even when you can't see the pages yet. That mindset turns stress into surrender and impatience into insight. You stop asking, when will this end? And start saying, what can I learn here? That simple switch gives meaning to every moment and power to every breath. Eventually, praise becomes not just something you do, but something you are. It becomes the lens through which you see life itself. You notice that even the smallest ordinary moments, rain hitting a window, a quiet sunrise, laughter after a long day, carry sacred value. You realize that gratitude isn't a reaction to goodness, it's the cause of it. The more you praise, the more beauty you notice. And the more beauty you notice, the more peace you feel. That's how praise transforms the mind. It doesn't just calm the storm, it teaches you how to dance in the rain. So when you wake up tomorrow, don't wait for a reason to be thankful. Create one. Speak it, live it. Let every breath remind you that peace begins with perspective. Because once your mind learns the rhythm of praise, it can never be trapped by fear again. Praise is the mind's reset, the soul's oxygen, and the heart's quiet revolution. There comes a moment in every life when the weight feels unbearable, when plans collapse, faith feels fragile, and your own strength seems to vanish. It's in those moments that most people surrender to despair, but praise offers a different kind of surrender. It's not giving up, it's giving over. When you whisper words of gratitude through your pain, you're not denying the hurt. You're declaring that it will not define you. That's where the miracle begins. Weakness has a strange honesty to it. It strips away everything unnecessary, ego, illusion, and pride, and leaves you face to face with your raw humanity. In that vulnerable space, praise becomes the lifeline that keeps you from drowning in self-pity. It becomes the rope you hold while the storm tries to pull you under. Every thank you, whispered through tears, says, I am still here. I am still choosing hope. That choice might not change the situation instantly, but it changes you immediately. The truth is, strength is not the absence of struggle. It's the courage to stay soft while struggling. It's waking up each morning with pain still in your chest and still finding one reason to smile. Praise helps you do that. It gives you permission to see beauty beside the brokenness. It teaches you that you can be hurting and healing at the same time. You can be uncertain and still moving forward. You can be incomplete and still worthy of joy. Praise doesn't wait for the wounds to close. It starts the healing from the inside out. When you start to praise in weakness, you build resilience layer by layer. Think of a tree in a storm. The wind bends it, the rain soaks it, but its roots grow deeper each time the earth shakes. That's what praise does for the soul. Every trial becomes a training ground for endurance. Every loss teaches you the language of empathy. You start to realize that nothing is wasted, not even pain. Praise takes the broken pieces and rearranges them into wisdom. It teaches you to bless the lesson instead of curse the loss. And something remarkable happens when you see your weakness through the lens of gratitude. Shame loses its voice. You stop seeing vulnerability as failure and start seeing it as freedom, because only a humble heart can truly praise. When you release the need to appear strong, you finally discover what real strength feels like, the kind that survives without shouting. It's quiet, grounded, and deeply alive. It's the strength that comes from knowing you don't have to carry everything alone. So when life knocks you down, Don't rush to stand up right away. Pause, breathe, whisper praise right there in the dust. Thank life for the lesson. Thank the challenge for revealing what still needs to grow. Thank your heart for refusing to quit, because that's the moment when weakness transforms into wisdom and pain turns into power. Pain has a way of making you question everything, your worth, your path, even your reason for continuing. Yet praise quietly steps into that chaos and whispers, "There's meaning here," even if you can't see it yet. When you choose to praise in the middle of suffering, you begin to separate the event from the lesson. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What is this shaping in me?" That simple question shifts the entire direction of your heart. Pain without purpose feels like punishment. Pain with purpose feels like preparation. And praise is what bridges that gap. Praise doesn't erase the hurt, but it softens its edges. It reminds you that every wound carries wisdom waiting to be found. Sometimes life's hardest seasons are simply classrooms without walls. The days that break you are the same days that rebuild you, if you let them. When you choose gratitude instead of resentment, the pain begins to teach instead of torment. You realize that every tear watered a seed of understanding. Every disappointment refined your patience. Every heartbreak expanded your capacity for empathy. None of it was wasted. It's easy to be grateful when blessings are visible. It takes true faith to be grateful when everything looks broken. But here's what happens when you do. You begin to turn your scars into stories that help others heal. Praise transforms personal pain into shared purpose. The very thing that tried to silence you becomes the reason your voice carries weight. You stop hiding your wounds and start using them as proof that healing is real. Praise gives you the courage to look back at the places you thought would destroy you and say, "That was where I learned who I really am." Every time you praise through pain, you're rewriting the narrative of your life. You stop being the victim of your story and become the author of your comeback. You stop defining yourself by what happened and start defining yourself by what you learned. Praise gives you that authority. It tells you that suffering doesn't have to shrink you. It can strengthen you. The cracks that pain leaves behind aren't signs of failure. They're places where light can enter. That's why gratitude and grace are always found together. One opens your heart and the other fills it. And maybe that's what real power is. Not the ability to avoid pain, but the ability to praise through it. The people who carry that kind of energy walk differently. They speak with gentleness, not arrogance. They see meaning where others see misery. They find lessons in every loss. That doesn't mean they never hurt. It means their hurt no longer controls them. They've learned that peace is not found in the absence of hardship, but in the presence of praise. When a storm finally passes, what's left behind isn't the same as what was there before. The landscape changes. Trees may be bent, the ground may be scattered with fragments, but if you look closely, you'll see new shoots pushing through the soil. Life has a quiet determination to begin again. Praise works the same way in the human heart. It doesn't erase the evidence of what you've survived. It turns that evidence into growth. Every time you choose to praise instead of despair, you rebuild something inside you that's stronger than before. Hope. Healing isn't a single moment. It's a rhythm. Some days you'll feel strong enough to smile. Other days you'll just manage to breathe, and both count. Praise allows you to honor both. It tells you that every step forward, no matter how small, is sacred. You begin to treat your journey with gentleness instead of judgment. You start to see that recovery isn't about returning to who you were. It's about meeting the person you're becoming. That realization changes everything. When you praise, you learn to celebrate progress instead of perfection. You realize that every scar on your heart is not proof of defeat, but proof that you healed deeper than the wound. Praise also gives you the courage to keep your heart open after loss. When life hurts, the instinct is to close off, to protect yourself from feeling that pain again. But walls that keep pain out also keep love out. Praise teaches you that vulnerability is not danger, it's connection. It tells you that it's safe to love again, trust again, dream again. You understand that just because something ended doesn't mean everything beautiful will. Gratitude for the past creates space for grace in the future. You stop clinging to what was and start looking forward to what can be. And here's the quiet miracle. As you praise your way through recovery, you start to sense joy again. Not the loud, fleeting kind that depends on circumstances, but the steady, peaceful joy that flows from acceptance. You notice beauty in the ordinary again, the warmth of sunlight, laughter at the end of a hard day, the feeling of calm when you finally forgive yourself. That's what praise does. It reawakens your ability to feel alive. It tells your heart, you made it through. Eventually, you realize that starting over isn't a punishment, it's a privilege. Every ending was really an invitation to begin again, wiser and freer than before. Praise transforms what you thought was the finish line into the first step of a new chapter. You become more compassionate, more resilient, more yourself. And every time you whisper gratitude for what you have, you draw more goodness toward you. So when you face your next trial, and you will, remember this truth. Your strength isn't measured by how perfectly you avoid pain, but by how gracefully you rise from it. Let praise be your rising. Let gratitude be your armor. Let peace be your proof that healing is happening even when it still hurts. Because every moment you choose to praise, you're not just surviving, you're becoming.